for people to come on board, and all of a sudden it's like, poof, there's like people, yay, people watching, woohoo!
12 o'clock. And we are on.
We're on.
We're on, baby.
Ourselves. We're hanging with ourselves. Moms doing our hanging out with our moment, waiting for the crowd to come in, Dan.
That's right. We're just getting loosened up.
Getting loosened up. Well, I'm like sunny over there because sunny Florida is not sunny.
Can you believe that? So it's raining in Florida and it's sunny in Oregon.
Yes, it is torrential downpour raining in Florida.
Hi, Christy. Christy's here, Breastfeeding Mom and Talk. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Not a lot happening right this minute because Helen and I are just waiting for everybody to jump on and have some fun talking about, what are we talking about today, Helen? We're going to have a big conversation.
Today we're talking about breastfeeding in public. We're going to talk about our own experiences. And then I would love to hear what other people have to say about their own experience, either positive or negative, about breastfeeding in public, and just kind of share our stories and hear what other mamas have had to either overcome or, their advice for the newly breastfeeding in public. So
you act like we breastfed like eons ago, like in the ancient distant past.
Well, you know what? If you breastfed 0 days in public or you've breastfed like 7 days in public, I feel like that is like a galaxy of difference, having never done it and having done it. It's like, it's very different. And between your first and like for you have two. So between your first and second, that was probably pretty different. For me, with my third, I would take her into work meetings. We'd go everywhere. And then if I needed a quiet moment, I'd put her on the boob and people would be like, okay, Helen's here, the boob's out. Like it was like, but they already knew that's the way it was going to be. It was no surprises. And it still is not. I'm still like, I go out with a group of friends. We just start talking about breastfeeding. And it's like, oh my God, like if you don't want to talk about breastfeeding, do not sit by me. I don't care if like we're just out for margaritas or we're at the park, like we're going to talk about breastfeeding. And like, I don't always bring it up. A lot of times just people talk about it and then we just keep going on the tangent. So,
well, it's definitely a hot topic, and I'm glad that we decided to do a Boob Tube channel about breastfeeding in public, because I think it's actually a really wonderful experience. I do think some moms are, have had a little bit of challenges with that. And I think for new moms, especially new moms, it's a very scary thing to think about. You don't think about having to breastfeed in public until you actually have to breastfeed in public. So
I'm out and I'm with my baby and my baby starts crying and now I have to do something about it. And if you have it planned.
To have this conversation. We were just waiting for a few people to get on board. Looks like we definitely got some people. So I think we should go ahead and start the Boob Tube.
Yay! Episode 4.
Yes.
So this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a lot of information and a lot of kind of personal stories, and I'm excited to jump into it.
Yes, let's jump right into it. So today, everybody, we are talking about, wait for it, breastfeeding in public and breastfeeding in the workplace. Two really, I think, big topics that moms, when you're not someone who's ever done that before, that's something that only a mom who's going to breastfeed is going to run into, is dealing with breastfeeding in public. And how do we do that? Oh my gosh, how do we get started with that? I know that wasn't something I learned in a class. Did you learn in a class how to breastfeed in public?
I didn't learn in class, and it's not something we talked about. I mean, I think bottle feeding in public definitely is widely accepted, but in fact, you get those, ooh, isn't it cute? And can I help? And then the breastfeeding in public, a lot of times that brings up, a whole different bunch of feelings for the uninitiated sometimes.
Right. Well, there's a boob involved. There's all of a sudden there's a boob, and there's something where people are kind of like, hi.
Yes.
Have a side conversation.
What's she doing over there? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
How are you today? You're okay. Well, I'm headed out now.
Hi, Kristen. Hi, Victoria. Thanks for joining us.
All right, so I think let's kind of jump right in about, for the new moms, let's jump right in and talk about, what kind of things can they do at home in the beginning before venturing out into the big, world of thousands of people walking around. So I'm going to throw out a suggestion that definitely moms can do in the beginning. I know when I first started breastfeeding in those first few weeks, I was trying to figure out, where my boob went and how do I hold her? And it's like this, this thing all over the place. My boob was out for like a long time, and eventually there was a connection. So if you were to walk in, it was like, woohoo, there's a nipple and a full-on boob. So, and I know all moms experience that in the beginning. So I would say, before going out, if you can, breastfeeding in public, to maybe practice, getting that latch on with your clothing that you're going to wear in public, so that it's not something that's so long and difficult to try to achieve. So I think practicing at home in the beginning is a great suggestion for brand new moms.
Yes, that is such good advice, because you don't want the first time you have to try to manage how do I do this nursing bra and how do I hold my baby to be sometime when you have people looking at you, right? This is something you want to kind of do for the first time in the privacy of your own home. So, and I have a bunch of different things to show about some different ideas for how to stay discreet when you're in public. So there's a lot of options. In fact, I'll just show you right now. So these are some really great little things that I found, and you can see this lady, she's breastfeeding. Can you even see her breast? Can you even
see the little white thing? You and your
little thing.
All that props for Helen.
Yeah. Here's this girl right here. You can't even see that she's breastfeeding hardly. I mean, you can see the baby latched on there, but you might not even know what she's doing. She's so discreet. So it really depends on what you're wearing. Think about, as you're getting dressed for the day and you're going to be out with your baby, how do I wear something, or how do I choose an outfit that's going to let me have access to the breast, but also keep me comfortable? And we have that postpartum little belly a lot of times, and we have the postpartum little love handles. So you might not want to have a shirt where you have to pull up, because then that's going to expose everything kind of down here. So you might want something that's more, you can see this guy right here. You see that? That keeps you completely covered up, but covers your.
That's a nursing top that's out on the, for easy for moms to buy. Yeah, it just has a little flip. And I see some people talking about the tank tops, and that's where you're coming in with that.
Here's a tank top here.
That's something I used.
A layering situation is really great. And this is an undercover mama tank top. And these are really great because you use the nursing bra that you already have. And then you just kind of use this little cami to connect to your nursing bra. And then you wear a cute t-shirt.
So that way you can make any shirt that you have, instead of having to buy an actual breastfeeding shirt, you're making any shirt a breastfeeding shirt by having just that breastfeeding tank. I like it. It's definitely cost effective. That's a great.
Yeah, and you don't have to go super expensive. Oh, you could definitely spend $100 on a nursing top, right? But you can also go to the Walmart, you can go to the Target, you can go to Undercover Mama, and you can get some really nice basic shirts, and then just cover them up with a cute tee or something like that. So
yeah, I saw some say, as a loose shirt, something that you can do. Of course, I mean, I think as long as you have a tank top underneath it, so that you have a little bit more. Not feeling exposed. And we're not saying, moms, that you have to cover all this up. We're just saying, if you're kind of new and you're a little nervous and, you maybe want to be more discreet. I mean, if you want to flip the boob out, more power to you, flip that whole boob out.
I'll give you a thumbs up if you do.
I'll be like, woo, do a little pray. But, you don't have to do that. So if moms are, wondering how am I going to do this, definitely having the right type of clothing so that you're able to achieve more of a discreet, breastfeeding outside moment, I think that would make it a little bit easier for that mom too. So that's 2 suggestions. Another suggestion that I would have is that, make your first couple times, and again, this is mainly for new moms, make your first couple times of breastfeeding in public, less of a drastic breastfeeding in public. Maybe don't go to Mall of America where, 1 million people are staring at you for your first time. Try going over to a friend's house or family members that you don't normally, see on a regular basis, or somewhere kind of small to do your first attempt at breastfeeding in public. So again, the whole goal is to build your confidence, moms. It's not that, you know, we want you to hide it or anything. We just want to give you the tools so that you're more confident in dealing with this. Because once you've done it several times in public, it becomes an easy thing to do. But that beginning part, you know, starting out can be a little bit of a scary moment. And these are some tools that are going to help you do that a lot easier.
That's right. Yeah. It's important that you're comfortable. I mean, I saw one of our commenters say that she really felt like she had to stay inside a lot because she felt anxiety about breastfeeding in public. And girls, that is so normal. It is so normal to feel like, I don't know if I can handle everything, plus now I have to go and kind of handle this situation that's going to make me uncomfortable. So it's all about your comfort level. Remember, these are just some tools that you might want to use if you want to, you know, cover up a little bit more. I have a few little other things that you might want to use too. I'll show you here in a bit. But Toby's idea about practicing at home is great. And you can practice in front of a mirror. You don't even, like, if you don't want your partner or anybody to kind of even see your first attempts at this, just do it in front of a mirror. And then you can see, you know, what's really being exposed. And I think you're going to be surprised that not much is going to be showing at all.
Really. And I saw some moms suggest a couple things. You know, I use a sling. I didn't have a sling for my first daughter, Ashlyn. I actually got the sling for my second daughter. And I would have to admit, that was a pretty easy thing to use. It already, you know, kind of had like where I had to adjust. It was a D-ring sling. So I would be adjusting like where she was at on my chest. And actually that was a little bit of a cover. But remember when we were at the OCA show in San Diego, my daughter was about, I think, 5 months old, and she was in the sling breastfeeding. I'm having this whole conversation about Milky's products, and, you know, and it took a little while, and a lot of people didn't even realize she wasn't sleeping in there, that she was actually nursing. So, you know, a sling is a great thing that moms can try to use also if they wanted to try to.
And you get to free your hands up too. So, you know.
Yeah, because I'm a hand talker. Hey, so yeah, I kind of needed that. That was much easier to do stuff like that. But then, you know, chores come into play, because then you're goes, oh, you're not sitting here. You can walk around. Destiny, you're talking about people staring that when you try to do that. You know, I that can go either way. Definitely, you know, people might stare, and, you know, it doesn't really mean that it's a bad thing, you know, that they're staring. That could be something that we think that it is, but they could just be maybe not even, you know, realizing that they're staring, or maybe they're staring and going, oh, that's really cool that she's, you know, she's feeding her baby in public. You know, maybe they're thinking that was something that they didn't know that they could do. So someone staring at you doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. I know a lot of times, you know, you could smile right at them or just not even notice that they're doing that, because I don't think that necessarily, as a general rule, people are against breastfeeding in public. Yes, there's a small percentage, but, you know, there's not that many that actually are against you breastfeeding in public.
Yes. And I can say, as a mom of boys, I don't have, my boys know what I do, of course, for a living, right? They're very familiar with talking about breastfeeding, but that, you know, to have people, you know, in kind of the public sphere understand a woman's body is more than just kind of an object or something that's beautiful to look at. And moms, I don't care how many kids you've had or how much you weigh postpartum, your body's beautiful, your body is strong, and you're doing something that's going to last your baby the rest of your life, you know, and you're helping the environment, you're helping everything when you're breastfeeding. So for other people to see that, I think is a very powerful, positive thing. And there's going to be a few people that don't see it that way. And that's okay, because 95% of the people in the world do see it that way, that this is something to be proud of. And it's something that people are going to support you in. And I'm proud when I see a mom breastfeeding. It makes me feel like, you know, go for it, sister. Yeah.
Well,
And I think a lot of moms feel that way.
You know, even though breastfeeding is definitely making a comeback, is making a, you know, a rise, it's still something that is not as popular as we all think. And, you know, I think when people do see someone breastfeeding in public, it might be the first time they've ever seen that, you know, and again, that doesn't mean it's a negative thing, but it might be something where they're like, you know, they might just be looking at a mom holding her baby and having, because you know what, I really think we glow when we're breastfeeding. And maybe when someone's staring at you because they're seeing that inner glow and that inner radiance, and then they might go, I think she might be breastfeeding. You know, so I would try not to think of someone looking at you as a negative thing, because that's going to show on your face when you look at them. You know, you're going to look at them and have that like, what you looking at? You know, you're going to have that little expression. You know, and maybe that's not necessarily something that was a problem. You know, wait for the problem to happen. Don't maybe encourage the problem to happen, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I look at it.
I think that's great. That's a great way to put it, I think.
Now, another thing is that there are going to be, let's kind of talk about a little bit of the negative side of breastfeeding in public. There are going to be those few negative moments. And mamas, I would love for you guys to share a negative moment that you have, something that someone said or someone did to you. And I would like to hear what you did in return. Helen, have you had a negative, you know, you have 3 children, so you've breastfed in public a lot. Have you had a negative moment?
My negative moments have kind of been sometimes with the people I'm with are kind of a little bit embarrassed that I'm breastfeeding. I've had, you know, friends that maybe hadn't had kids yet, or, you know, teenagers that kind of were a little bit embarrassed that I was breastfeeding. And so that to me was an opportunity to educate a little bit about why breastfeeding is important. And that's how I kind of used the moment. But it's, you know, I live in Oregon, which is pretty breastfeeding friendly. Okay. And I haven't really had a lot of issues with strangers, but definitely with people that kind of feel a little bit more comfortable with me saying, do you have to do that here? And I say, yes, I do. My baby's hungry. And if you were hungry, I would get you something to eat too. So.
Well, I saw something that Diana stated about her husband said it was illegal. There's a website, because I do also think that moms, when you're going to breastfeed in public, you know, you want to have all these tools so that you are empowered and you feel confident in what you're doing. And there's a website that you moms can go to. It is, and I want you to type it up there for me, Helen. It is ncsl.org. And I just went on there today to check a couple things, and it's just been updated as of June 5th. And it has all the laws. You're going to search, once you go to that website, you're going to search breastfeeding state laws. There are 49 states in the United States that actually have laws that protect women publicly breastfeeding. So, you know, there's only one state that's, I guess, I don't know, in the dark ages. And I don't know if anyone can guess what that state is, but it's Idaho. I don't know what's going on with Idaho, not sure. But there are actually, every state but Idaho has a law protecting moms breastfeeding in public and private places. So it is not illegal to breastfeed in public. There's also states that, not as many, I think we dropped down to 29 states that have breastfeeding laws that also protect you in the workplace. So you have almost double laws in those states. But I would go on and look at your state and look at that code for that law so that you yourself know that someone who maybe doesn't know what they're talking about tells you it's illegal for you to do that. You know it's not, and you can let them know confidently that, no, my state supports breastfeeding. You need to look that information up. I'll give you that number. You know, and that's or tell them to go to the website, or you can even cite the law itself because they give you the actual law that does that. So, you know, be empowered. A lot of times it's somebody misguided that doesn't really know what they're talking about when they say that. I know I had one negative experience. I'm sure I've had people feel uncomfortable around me, and, you know, I've had the stares, but I've only had one person say something negative. when I was at a mall, you know, where there's like lots and lots of people. I had a young lady go by. She could have been anywhere between 17 to 21, not really, you know, sure. And she walked by and she didn't do it directly at me, but she said it about me. She was like, "Oh my God, that woman has her boob out in public." You know, and she walked off. My instant thing was I wanted to get up and follow her and go, "Let me just tell you something." You know, this isn't, you know, but, you know, I took a breath and, you know, she wasn't affecting me. She like kept going. She walked off and that was it. So if I got up and followed her, I feel like I'm letting her control my emotions and what I'm doing. So I kind of ignored it and just, you know, said, she's obviously not educated. I'm moving on. I'm still breastfeeding in public and it's not a problem. But I know some moms have had people actually confront them directly.
Right. And we have some comments on those too. Yeah.
Yes, that you can't do that. You know, I think as long as you stay calm, you know, and not let them affect you and educate them, I think it's okay. But there are some times when maybe something bigger has to be done.
Yeah, there are sometimes. And Roxana and Alexandra, Elizabeth, I love your comments. And I think that's all wonderful that we share those experiences that we've had. Typically, your managers of your restaurants and your retail stores are going to be more familiar with the laws protecting you than a store associate might be. So if someone in a store does ask you to leave or cover up or, you know, go into a dressing room or a bathroom, I would ask to talk to a manager, because there's a really, really strong chance that the store's policy is very accepting of breastfeeding. It just may not, the person talking to you that works at the store may not be aware of that. So talk to the manager. Usually it's not necessary to, you know, stage a nurse in and kind of have this big protest. It's typically can be handled on kind of a smaller level. If it can't be, then definitely, you know, feel free to take that to the next level then as you communicate with more people about your experience. Because that's really how things are going to change, I think, is when behavior that's unacceptable is kind of put out into the public to be kind of commented on somewhat by people that have awareness of the law.
Right. And this also goes for somebody that's pumping at work. You know, that is still, you know, a public kind of situation. And I think there are moms that feel like when they're at work and they're pumping, that their coworkers could be giving them a hard time. You know, I look at when people ask a question, I use that as, instead of a negative, I use that as a learning experience. My ability to help educate somebody else and share with them in my breastfeeding journey of why I chose to breastfeed or why I chose to pump. And I think you'd be amazed that if you talk a little bit with somebody, allow that communication to happen, you know, they're just trying to understand why you're doing something. And it doesn't necessarily mean why in a negative way. It can, but a lot of times it could just be, they're just trying to understand. And I think once you have a conversation with them, you know, then they start to understand and they're actually on your side for that. You know, that was definitely my experience at the fire department. You know, it's a bunch of guys, and I just saw Mary. You know, I know her from the fire department. She works at Hillsborough County Fire Rescue also. She's a breastfeeding firefighter mom like myself. She's actually feeding and fighting fire like right this minute. You know, I'm not breastfeeding anymore. But, you know, those guys were really supportive. But in the beginning, they were kind of like, what? What are you doing? How? Okay. Well, why? You know, and that didn't mean don't do that. It just meant why. And, you know, the guys are very supportive of me. And I'm pretty sure they're very supportive of Mary as well. So, you know, don't sit in silence. Don't sit in silence, Mom.
Well, I like that comment, Toby, and I think it relates to what Elizabeth was saying about that she has teenage children as well as an infant, and that her teenage children's friends, sometimes she feels uncomfortable breastfeeding around them. But Elizabeth, think about your behavior as really being a model for how they can conduct themselves when they do finally have a baby, hopefully many years in the future. But you may be the person that has a big influence on how they parent their child and their feeding choices. And so you may feel like you need to cover up, and that's fine, but don't hide the fact that you're breastfeeding, because that's an incredibly powerful message that you're sending to them, that breastfeeding is normal. So doing that in public is a great message.
The hardest to deal with, teenagers, because, we all know that,
they know it all.
Their world is right here, like right here. It's not anywhere else. And they're probably the worst at being able to understand. But I do believe that, them seeing that and, them being exposed a little bit to that is something that later on can be something where they feel like, well, I have seen people do that before. I was surrounded by completely non-breastfeeding, friends and family members. So it was all new for all of them every time. And it was definitely kind of a question, but I used that as a learning experience for them. And, definitely it's kind of like pay it forward kind of thing. You'll be amazed at what that experience will happen right now will affect them years from now. And you might have been the catalyst for that. Oh, look, there's your little helper. I see.
That's my helper. She wants me to change the movie for her. I'll be with you in one.
I'd also like to talk a little bit about, the workplace with breastfeeding and pumping, because I think that definitely is something that, moms in today's, how a lot of us are working, those moms are definitely feeling that as well. And, there's a lot of laws that actually protect moms in the workplace that actually require, I think you looked up some things, Helen, where there's certain businesses that actually have to have a breastfeeding, a place for a mom, correct?
Right. That's exactly right. So in 2010, part of the Affordable Care Act, there was mandatory breaks for nursing mothers. That was part of the ACA. And it says that moms that work over 4 hours need to have break time to pump. And it's unpaid time. It's employers that have more than 50 employees. And if it's an undue hardship, they don't have to provide the break time. So for instance, with your situation, Toby, it probably would have been really tough to say, okay, for this 30 minutes, Toby is going to be off the clock. We have to bring someone else to cover her shift. That's probably not going to happen. So there's certain employers that do kind of have flexibility with providing that break time. But for the most part, you need to have a half an hour, 30 minutes of unpaid time. It should correspond with a lunch or another break time. So it's not like you get an extra 30 minutes. So they really are trying to provide moms with the minimum they need. It'd be nice to have more, like if the time was paid or if it was in addition to another break. Because if you've ever tried to pump and then you have to eat lunch and then you have to do all these other things while you're at work, it can be challenging. But it's basically kind of the minimum protections that mom can have to try to get her at least the option that she can pump at work. Your partner can also bring your baby in and you can breastfeed at work during that time. You need to have a place other than a bathroom.
Oh, yes, definitely other than a bathroom. It's good to know that there's a little bit of a law out there that does encourage and inspire. It sounds like it definitely needs a lot more work. That was 2010. It's now 2017.
Yep.
It sounds like
start.
So work on improving those laws. But, I think a lot of it is communication with your employer and letting them know, that you need, an extra 15 minutes to be able to pump. And I think, as long as that communication is there and you're letting them know why you need to do some of the things that you need to do, that can be, something that you can work out with your workplace. For me, obviously, there was not a facility that they could give. There was not a time that they could give, because at 911, a heart attack or a fire is going to happen whenever it's going to happen. And you just have to be able to roll with it. So I kind of had to adjust my pumping related to my work. I think that is a smaller percentage of moms that have to do that. But I want moms to know that there is the ability to adjust yourself to doing whatever you need to do. And, I pumped more often, but I pumped a lot less time frame. And I, use some of the things that we've talked about in the past where, you're actually, compressing the breast while you're pumping so that you can get more out of it. But I pumped more often, less time. That worked for me. And then I didn't go into a bathroom. We have, bunks where we all kind of sleep together, not all in this individual beds, but all in the same room. And I would put a sign up that would say, boobs at work. Don't come in unless you dare, and obviously the fire department, we have more of a weird sense of humor. You might not want to do that at your work, but, definitely, instilling a sign, letting people know what's going on, educating them in a non-confrontational way, getting them on your side, being a part of your journey are all great things that are going to help you be able to successfully continue to breastfeed, in the workplace as well.
Yeah. And Brooke, I sympathize with your comment about your employer being really awful. But I love that we had one of our commenters that's in the military that said that she felt very supported, and so that was great. Alexandra, thanks for that comment.
That's great. And every good, there's going to be always, unfortunately, those bad experiences, but you're a trendsetter, and sometimes being a trendsetter is the hard part. Being that first one. No one wants to be first, but, be proud of yourself that even though your boss is giving you a hard time, you're still accomplishing it, because moms, we can do it all. I feel like every single one of us have a cape on our back, and it's glitter SM super mom. And, just stay with it, just keep working at it, and know that, if you're struggling with your workplace, it's definitely, you're the trendsetter, and the next mom who comes behind you, it's going to be a better situation. It just definitely is. And just hang in there. Hang in there is all I can say.
Well, we should put a coupon code up for the Facebook Live broadcast so that people can check out the Fairhaven Health and the Milky's line of products and get a discount.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, the whole thing.
FB Live is coupon code.
That's the coupon code. You get 10% off if you go to our website, which is mymilkies.com, to be able to look at some of the products that Helen and I have invented. There's videos talking about those products. But, the Boob Tube is all about supporting, educating, sharing knowledge, sharing our experiences, and letting you moms know that you're not alone, that not only have we experienced that, but, all the moms that are following us and are part of our live post, that's definitely been there just like you have, and experienced those things, so that you're not alone. That's our most important thing we're trying to get across.
Yep, that's right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. I'm so glad we got so many wonderful comments, and it was so great to be with you. Thanks for coming and giving me an excuse to hang out with my friend Toby. I'm always grateful for that.
And look forward to our next Boob Tube, which is next month. We'll be posting it on our site. We're going to be talking about a really important subject, which is, postpartum depression, and sharing some experiences. So we love all of you guys. We're going to go back and make some comments, and let's keep commenting after the fact. And we will definitely see you guys next month. All right.
Okay. Bye.
I think that went really good.